Hi and welcome to today's Mindful Teen Talk. So this week I'm going to answer a bunch of the questions you guys have been sending in, and some of them are related to mental health, so I thought it was appropriate with this week being Mental Health Awareness Week, and I'll answer all of the other questions as well. So let's jump straight in. So the first question I got asked was, how did I get into yoga? So I actually went to my first yoga class. I would have been about 16. I was still in high school, and I was feeling a little bit stressed about exams. And I went to a yoga class in the local town hall. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't really something I ended up sticking with. It wasn't until a few years later, when I was at university, I was feeling a little bit stressed again about exams, about other stuff that was happening, and I had a yoga studio really close to where I lived, and they had a really cheap deal for students. So I started going along to classes, and I went to a beginner's yoga class every week, and it just started from there. I really loved the classes, and slowly just started to enjoy the yoga classes more and more, and I eventually started doing a couple of classes a week. And then fast forward to now, which is probably about 8 years later, and I was drawn to go and do my yoga teacher training just because I wanted to know more and I wanted to find out more. I didn't actually expect to become a yoga and meditation teacher, but I really love everything about yoga and meditation, and so here I am now. The next question is, does yoga and meditation really help with mental health? And I think that's a great question, and I'm a real advocate for yoga and mental health. And I think the most important thing to start with saying is that there is some scientific studies and evidence and things that point towards the practices of yoga and meditation being beneficial for things like depression, anxiety, all sorts of mental health conditions. But it's really important that you would consult your doctor or somebody that you were talking to professionally about this before you wanted to try out some yoga and meditation. If you were having some quite severe and difficult issues, you would want to consult your doctor first, make sure that that's okay. The next point to say is that yoga and meditation, for me personally, have helped with my mental health and well-being. And I have struggled a little bit with stress and anxiety over my time when I was studying, and for me they were great tools, and I think it's really important that you give them a try yourself and find out if it works for you. The way we talk about how it works in yoga is that our mind and our body are connected. So you'll know that feeling because when you're feeling a little bit anxious, you might get like a sore tummy or some kind of feeling in your body. And maybe when you hurt yourself, you have an injury or something like that, you can feel a little bit sad. So we realize that the body and the mind are quite connected. So one of them influences the other. So that's why yoga and meditation together kind of have this ability to help us with our connection with our mind and our body. So we are doing the physical practice of yoga, so moving and stretching and getting a little bit stronger, and that can actually affect how our brain works and the kind of chemicals in our brain that make us feel a little bit happier. And then the other way around to that is that yoga is also a practice where we focus on the mind. So I talk a lot about mindfulness and being in the moment, and that can actually make our body feel better as well. So it works both ways. We're moving the body to help our mind feel better, and then we're doing meditation practices that help our body feel better. So overall, feeling a lot stronger, more resilient in our mind and in our body can really help us with our mental health and with our mental well-being, and allow us to deal with times in our life of stress a little bit better, and allow us to deal with the most difficult scenarios and things that happen to us in our life in a better way. And considering that 1 in 3 people in Scotland will have a mental health issue at some point in their lives, I think learning tools like yoga and meditation that work for a lot of people, I'm not saying they definitely work for everyone, but learning tools like that can be really beneficial, so that when you do go through a difficult time, or if you're already going through a difficult time now and a doctor or a health professional has suggested yoga could be good for you, then you have access to some tools, something you can do at home, something very practical. And basically there's nothing to lose there. Give it a try. Maybe try for a couple of months before you make a decision. And you don't even need to spend that much time, a couple of minutes a day meditating, maybe 30 minutes of yoga twice a week, and just see if that makes you feel better. And if it does, then great, then you've done something really wonderful. And if it doesn't, then you've probably not lost anything. You might have become a little stronger, a little bit more flexible, and you might have learned a little bit about yourself during that time. The next question is, do you need to be flexible to do yoga? And I love this question because it's a myth that I'm always trying to tell people about. You do not need to be flexible at all to do yoga. You don't need to be able to touch your toes. You don't need to be able to do any of those things. So if you go to a beginner's class or a gentle enough class, or if you take one of my more gentle classes on my YouTube channel, then you should be absolutely fine. You don't need to push any further than you can go. So even if you feel like you're not very flexible at all, you can develop that over time. And to be honest, being flexible isn't the goal of yoga anyway. It's a little bit more about just moving our body, being a little bit more connected with our mind. But really important to remember that everyone can do yoga. So older people or people with mobility issues quite often do yoga in a chair, and you can do yoga just using your arms, you know. So there's no need to be super flexible, be able to touch your toes, you know, put your legs behind your head. Totally not a part of yoga at all. So wherever you are, start there. So you can start absolutely any level of flexibility. The next question that I was asked is, why is it important to meditate? And I think the most simple and best answer I can give to this question is that meditating makes you happier. It makes you more calm. It makes you nicer to your friends and family, and it makes you feel a lot more in control of your emotions and how you're feeling. So really, quite a simple answer. Meditation, there's loads of science and studies which are great, which prove that meditation can actually change the way your brain works and make you a lot more able at dealing with stress and a lot more resilient, and allows you to be in the moment more. But at the end of the day, if you ask me, why do I meditate? I meditate because it makes me feel good and it makes me feel happier. And when I'm going through a difficult time, meditation allows me to take a little bit of a break, to step back, and to actually deal with my problems or my issues a lot better than if I just keep going and don't ever stop and take a break. And the next question is related to meditation as well, and that's, how do I stop fidgeting when I'm meditating? And this is a fantastic question, and I think beginner meditators and experienced meditators have this problem too. It's a problem I kind of think that is across the board people have. So I'll give you a couple of tips. Maybe I don't have the perfect answer for it, but a couple of tips, things that helped me, things I know help other people. So the first tip would be, make sure that you're actually comfortable. So if sitting cross-legged on the floor is not for you, don't do it. Sit in a chair, sit on the edge of your bed, sit in a way that's comfortable. Sit on your knees, sit on lots of cushions. And if sitting is just not for you and you think you can stay awake, lay down on the floor, completely flat, so that you're nice and comfortable, so there's kind of no distractions from the body. And you can do that to start with, and eventually I think you would maybe build up the ability to feel a bit less fidgety in that way. The next thing would be is to not be annoyed about the fidgeting. So if every time we fidget, we kind of get annoyed about it, but there's no point really meditating, really, is there? So we kind of have to have a kind of idea of kindness around this. So be really kind to ourselves, like, oh, I noticed that you're fidgeting today. Come back to the meditation. Oh, you're fidgeting again, come back. And you could actually use that as your practice a little bit. So meditation is just the process of focusing. So really you're just, if you're feeling very fidgety, you're just focusing on staying still in that meditation that day. So that's a really important thing to remember as well. And then the third thing I would say is start small. If you're laying down, sitting down for 15 minutes, you're brand new to meditation and you find yourself fidgeting, totally normal. Start with 2 minutes a day, build yourself up over time, and you might find that as you strengthen that kind of awareness with your meditation, that you might find it a little bit easier to stay still. But overall, the most important thing I would say is don't be too tough on yourself, and maybe try and use it as part of the meditation. You'll get a little bit more out of it. And the final question that I was asked is, where do I get my yoga clothes from? And I think people are probably talking about my kind of crazy patterned yoga leggings. And I don't actually really have a very good answer for this. I have picked up different pairs of crazy yoga leggings all around the world. I've travelled quite a lot. And when I go to markets, or sometimes try and go to vintage shops or vintage markets, or to charity shops as well, and I pick up pairs of leggings there whenever I can. A couple of pairs of my leggings are from Sweaty Betty and from Nike as well, but you don't really need to spend a lot of money on yoga clothes at all. And the most important thing when it comes to yoga clothes is make sure that you're comfortable. So especially at the moment when we're only practicing in our own house, in our own living room, wear whatever you want, feel super comfortable, that's totally fine. Thank you all for sending these questions in. Please keep sending your questions in. I absolutely love answering them. No question is stupid, so fire them into the comments box, or you can even send me them personally and I will answer them in the next question and answer video that I do. Please subscribe to the channel, share these videos with anyone who you think would benefit from them, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.